overheads. Let's take a listen. We have a massive low cut, because I don't need any of that in this genre, and removing some harshness around 5-6K, removing some boxiness at around 400, and removing more lows starting from 50 with a shell. Let's hear it without. Let's remove all the other plugin too. Basically, I wanted just the cymbals from the overheads, okay? I didn't need anything else because, well, I have room mics for the whole picture of the kit, so I just needed the cymbals. Then we have the API. Now pay attention to this. This is what I was saying before. The snare was very, very snappy. The sum of all the channels were just bringing out this very pointy attack of the snare and none of the body. Both the top, the bottom, the overhead, the snare had this very fast, very peaky attack. And so with this compressor on the overhead, as you can see, I keep the whole track pinned down, infinity ratio and a 0-3 attack. So it releases very slow because I don't want the compressor to bring up the cymbal's tail, but I want to keep the snare attack and overall the cymbals pretty firm dynamically without. Notice the thrust is at loud, the tone settings, because this way the compressor reacts to actually that range of frequency that I am concerned about. Then we have the Pultec. Adding back a little bit of brightness that we eat up with the compression, and is automated for what I can see, and it's automated here. So in this part of the song you can hear the final product. He bashes on the cymbals quite a lot, and even those 2 dB of boost in this area were a little too much. I wanted to create a moment where the song was darker a little bit, and this simple move did the trick. And then the last one on the overhead is the Maggie Q, and this was a pretty big part of the overall sound because I was pinning down the overhead hard and I needed some air. As you can see, I'm not touching anything but the air gain at 40K, but with the Maggie Q, when you pass 6, it also adds a certain saturation to the sound, which is interesting. This is going to be a big difference. Let's listen to the whole drum without this and with this. Let's go where there's some cymbals. Massive difference. Okay, the cymbals actually sounds good with this on at this point. It's a not so subtle move, although the center frequency is at 40, but the sound of this thing is amazing, especially on cymbals, because it adds air without being harsh. Let's take a look at the last track, which is the room mics. And as you can see, I muted them in the verses and I left them open in the choruses and special in the end of the song. So let's go here and let's listen to it without any processing on. I'm pretty sure when I tracked it, I had a couple of distressor on them or the API 2500 compressing on the way in. As you can see, it's pretty distorted, but it sounds good. So with this track, I wanted the whole picture of the kit. I wanted depth. And let's see, what did I do? I cut some low end. Added a little top. Is distorting right now because probably there's volume compensation with the compressor, which is here. So I'm squashing the hell out of it. And then we have another compressor which is automated. And this is the special that you hear in 3 different moments in the song, and we'll take a look at the automation of that and what happens to the drums in that moment. But the last one is an EQ and is automated too. And so let's listen to what happens in that special. We're coming from here. So simply on the room track, the 76 kicks in and the Pro Q kicks in, limiting the bandwidth only on the room track. And at the same time, we are muting the close mics on the snare to make the drums appear farther away. Take a look here. And the last thing, when the breaks finishes, we have this explosions sound that augment the impact when the drums comes back in full bandwidth. We have 2 sounds. That's one. The top. And then we had the bottom. Together. These just help to go back into the full drum sound. Same thing I did at the end. When we come back from the last breakdown. The last 2 explosions. Let's take a look at what else there is on the drum. There is volume automation for the overheads. Very important. We talked about automation. So this is just the volume automation for the overheads. Lower in the verses. Come up in the chorus. Okay, you can follow the automation. It goes down in the verses, it comes up in the choruses, and when there is the in-between tom fill, you can see I bring up the volume of the overheads to make the whole part even dynamic-wise. So finally, let's take a look at what I did on the drum bus. The whole drum bus, we have a low cut filter at 50 and nothing else with the SSL. The API 2500, which is one of my favorite compressor for drums. And here's why. Without it, obviously, there's a big difference in volume, but you can hear the whole sound pretty much is coming from the API 2500. Then the clipper from IK Multimedia. just taking out 1 dB on the snare hits and compensating for the volume. Fairly transparent used in this way. A little 1.5 dB at 40 to give the kick a little more humph, and this shelf here to tame some of the high ends, especially when he hits the very loud hi-hats that we talked about before. And because of that too, I have a de-esser. Let's listen what it's doing. It might seem like nothing major, but this is actually one trick that will make your recording sound more analog, quotes. Because see, this is the kind of frequency range that just destroys your ears when you listen to high volumes and when you go squashing the mix later on. We are talking about 3 dB top. Then a free EQ from Bootsy, Variety of Sound, shout out to them. I'm using it in mid-side, so I'm boosting a little bit more on the mono component than the side. And then finally another clipper. Takes away another couple of dB. So this is pretty much it for the drum. If you have any question, if I forgot something, you are interested in some specific thing that I didn't mention, comment here on the video down below or on our Facebook page, and I will try to get back at you. This is it for this video. Next time we'll take a look at the bass, and then guitars, lead vocals, background vocals, special things, and two-bus processing effects, etc., etc. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please don't forget to click the like button. Share the videos on your social media and forums. It's very important for the channel. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time.